So everybody knows about Detroit's decline. For decades now, the city used to be an economic powerhouse of the world. Job losses, overseas manufacturing, all of it has just pretty much gutted Detroit. We were there for a couple of days, and I was driving around documenting all the different parts of Detroit that are falling apart. But Detroit's actually getting better too. But I wound up meeting up with a Detroit resident named Bahu. Guy's been here forever. Cool dude, invited me over to his house. We sat in his upstairs bedroom and we talked about Detroit, the future, the history, and he pretty much gave me his take on America too. It was a great interview. Here it is right here, uncut. So when I talked to you on the phone, you were talking about a lot of the things Detroit is doing better. Can you talk to me about how Detroit is a lot better than it was?
Well, it's a lot better than it was years when I grew up as a youngster. Is becoming more of a tourist attraction. So it's attracting people not just from the outer regions of the metropolis area, like the suburbs or whatnot, people from downriver, but it's attracting people from other states. Also, it's attracting people from other countries. You know, we always had our auto show, our annual auto show that attracted people from all over, and we had different other events like the festival, the music festival, that always attracted people from Germany and different parts of Europe and different parts of the world, you know. But now with a lot of the renovation and revitalization of what's going on downtown, as well as, I gotta say, with the Lions doing their thing this year, it attracting people from other places, other parts of the United States, as well as other parts of the planet Earth. You know what I mean? People from Russia, people from Switzerland, people from Canada, you know, even though we're neighbors with, you know, Windsor. So we've been going to Canada since I was a kid, and people, Canadians from different parts of Windsor and other areas have been coming over here. So I think that's what it's doing. It's generating a lot of more commerce, you know, a lot more trade, as well as with the present mayor that we have, Mayor Duggan, he's doing a lot of coalition with small businesses, you know, and for lack of a better word, people of color. I'll just say original people, you know, original people, black people. So they're doing it, as well as for women. So they're doing city council and them are kicking off a lot of initiatives in that area. And I think that's one of the many great things that's going on with the city, because once you can generate some form of commerce, some trade, you know, launch off a lot of these small businesses where they can generate more cash flow, you know, that's not only a good look, but that's a good vibe for the city and for the citizens, you know.
How do you feel about how they're, like, you can go ahead and light up if you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I might shut this just a little teeny bit because the glasses.
Go ahead, you might want
glare on your glasses.
Oh, you know what? Actually, Ben, I'm not reading. I can take the glasses off.
Yeah, there you go. I can see your eyes better.
Take them off.
So how do you personally feel about the progress Detroit has made? And I hear people, the second part of that, they say, you know, Detroit's making downtown better. Yes, but they're leaving a lot of the neighborhoods. They're not spending money up here. It's all going downtown. Yeah,
well, like you said, you kind of scrolled throughout the city yesterday, so you saw some of that. What they're saying. You know, I think you kind of asked me this over the phone, and I agree with them. You know, there is a lot going on downtown, which is our center hub. You know, that's the hub that kind of bring everybody together. You know, so they're beautifying that in one aspect, but at the same time, I think what some of the people's gripe was that they was leaving out native residents, you know, native Detroiters, you know, not giving them first dibs, boosting up the property value and things of that sort. And, you know, most people in Detroit couldn't afford to live, or, you know, are living on menu ends, so they couldn't afford, when you boost up the property value and things of that sort, they couldn't afford to live. So that was causing them to pushing a lot of us out, you know. Even with some of the businesses downtown, some of them are high-end businesses. A person on a low budget wouldn't be able to, frequent there or patronize, that business of sort. So I think they're trying to create with the city council that we have. I think they're trying to create a lot more inclusions, by including more of, your black and your brown or your underprivileged, or your low income people or your people in your urban, rural neighborhoods, or whatnot. So, other than that, I think Detroit is doing good. And that would be the thing. Work on the outskirts. Like we said, over that Gratiot, 7 Mile, my old neighborhood, Jefferson and Hilbert, over in that area, Mack and Bewick, Now, like I said, there's a lot of renovation or revitalization that's going on over there because they're starting to plant more trees in some of the vacant lots, but Detroit biggest issue, we not only had, we still have an existing blight issue. Detroit, that's why that guy Stephen A. Jackson made that comment on CNN about if you go outside the downtown like a desert, because Detroit can almost be likened to a third world country because of the blight and the desolation, just being very desolate, compared to most cities, but however, that's because over the years ago when we had a lot of corrupt politicians, they was raping Detroit, taking the resources and the money and running, And in my honest opinion, that's what Kwame was trying to save us from. Other people, politicians that didn't have Detroit in the best interest, but knew Detroit was a gold mine and was trying to rape it of its resources, one, the Great Water Authority, and things of that sort. I don't want to get into politics or anything like that, but, my honest opinion, a native Detroiter. Mm-hmm. I'm 54 years old, came here when I was 3, been here since then. So I got 51 years invested besides I left to go live in New York for a short stint, Cleveland, Atlanta, things of that sort. But Detroit always been home. That's where all my relatives at, So I watched the evolution or the elevation of Detroit. I remember when downtown was a ghost town, and now look at it now. So.
Do you go downtown? Do you?
Oh yeah, I do. We used to. We had a rap group called Sons of Kadri, and we used to go and distribute CDs downtown. So we would go and patronize people or have people patronize us. So we attended all the opening days, the Tigers games. We went to all the Lions. We'd be at all the tailgating, the festivities, all the festivals, the Music Fest, which is that's one of the largest, I want to say, in America, that Techno Fest. They do it every year. They have Wu-Tang and different celebrities and artists from all over, man. It's a big thing. Like I said, people from all over the world come because this is where techno started, Detroit is a hub, is a mecca for a lot of things, The Nation of Islam started here, techno music started here. We know Motown started here, as well as, with my man Henry Ford and, the assembly plant and things of that sort. So Detroit, we call it D-Mecca, the 5%ers, the gods, we call it D-Mecca. But Detroit is a Mecca, So it's a place where a lot of things kicked off, a lot of things kicked off. So a lot of people pay homage to Detroit for that reason, And like I said, I'm going to salute again to them Detroit Lions, man. Amon-Ra St. Brown and them doing their thing. Jeff, the quarterback, Goff, and all them, man, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were cheering for the Lions.
Man, yeah.
And I was going to be here for the Super Bowl. I was hoping they were going to be here so we could see.
Listen, me and my brother said it this morning, man, and doing our wake and bake. It don't even seem right, man. Detroit Lions ain't in there. I'm going to watch it, but it's going to have partial of my attention, man. Detroit would have my whole attention. But yeah, Detroit, on that, 2 thumbs up, man, to the city council, the mayor, the city officials who's trying to make Detroit and is striving daily to make Detroit a better place, as well as the citizens, people such as myself, who haven't left Detroit. I'm talking about, still here and still rooting Detroit on. So this is a beautiful city. I mentioned to you, I don't know if you went down by the city county building, they got the big statue, the spirit of Detroit. And I said the spirit of Detroit is resilience, to be knocked down but get back up, to not quit, to not wave the white flag, never throw the towel in. That's the spirit of Detroit, the resilience. Detroit was started in 1701 by Cadillac. It was founded in 1701 by Cadillac. Remember, this was first occupied by the French, So, we have a long, rich history. The people here are strong, vibrant, good people here, some great people here, warm, friendly, because we hear the bad rep about Detroit, and a lot of that sometimes, Detroit is like anywhere in America. It can be a rough place or whatnot, but overall, this is a beautiful place with some beautiful people, some good, hardworking people. This is a blue-collar state, so when I say blue-collar, this is a working class, Well, most people know this was, the big three and whatnot kicked off. That's why it's the Motor City. So this is a blue collar. This is where you pull yourself up by your bootstraps, That's what it is. So I'm always root Detroit. This is home, man. Home is where the heart is, and Detroit is right here,
So when did you mentioned city officials, elected leaders back in the day made this place worse by being greedy and selfish. When did Detroit, you seem positive about the current administration. Mm-hmm. How long ago did that start when people that actually gave a shit about making it better here started to kind of turn things around? How long ago was that?
I want to say Kwame Kilpatrick. Kwame started bringing a lot of stuff to the city.
When was that? How long ago was that?
I'm not real good with years, man. Kwame Kilpatrick, that was the mayor that wound up going to prison.
Yeah, he has a bad reputation.
Yeah. Well, however, but everybody doesn't feel that way. I don't think, I'm not a political student, so I don't know all the ins and outs or the details, but if you want to ask me, when did I start to see a revitalization in Detroit? I'll say through Kwame. I want to say Dennis Archer, who was a mayor for a short period, was striving to do different things. Like they were saying, it was under his watch when Detroit Lions came back to Detroit. Remember, we was out in Ann Arbor,
Mm-hmm. So that was...
not Ann Arbor, Auburn Hills.
Yeah, so 20 years ago when Detroit started to change?
That's probably something like that. Okay. 20 years or maybe a little 20 plus years, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, around something like that. You start to see, that's when they started to work more on the downtown, if you want to say, that I would say. So yeah, I would say that, and then, you can't forget the great mayor, Coleman Young. Coleman Young, who was an outstanding mayor for the city of Detroit when I was a kid, was doing outstanding things and was trying to keep things in Detroit, and was trying to keep Detroit from having a bad rep, He went through that whole thing of disbanding stress, which was causing a lot of police brutality to underprivileged people on this side of 8 Mile and things of that sort. So, I had to tilt my hat and go all the way back to, Coleman Young. I just think there's always been, an underhand where different politicians was really just trying to rape Detroit of its natural resources, Mm-hmm. This the Great Lakes State, So one of our main resources is fresh water, But yeah, over the last 20 plus odd years is what I would say is when I started to see the revitalization of Detroit, when it was no longer being a ghost town. Because at one time, like I said, our downtown was like a ghost town.
Yeah.
You went down there at night, and now, people from all walks of life is down there.
Yeah, I was
see
busy
people
last
walking dogs. I already know Saturday night. That used to be our days, Friday and Saturday night. That's why I don't go down there as much now. We was down there hustling, selling CDs, man, distributing music. And so we come in contact, any of the games, any of the events that brought people together, man. We was at the Hoedown. We was the Kenny Chesney concert. You name it. We was doing it all. So we dealt with all genres, people from all walks of life. You know what I'm saying? That's your stomach?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I ain't ate yet either, but it's okay.
I got up at 6 to go get up.
I got up about that time. Yeah, I'm an early bird.
I'm normally not, but when I travel, I get tired early, and then I get up at like 6.
Well, you say you coming from California. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So how far do you feel, what else does Detroit need to do? Like, if you were in charge, if there were like one or two things, what are the biggest problems that still
if I was in charge and things could go my way, as they say, if it was a perfect world, then we'd start working on the neighborhoods, Not only would I have that downtown right, these neighborhoods would be right.
Like, what would you do here? Like, knock down continue to knock down?
If I could do it like that and that was feasible, I know it's a lot goes into running a city and running a state. I did have a political science class before when I went to college. So I do understand there's more than, that's why I say if I could have it my way and if I just snap my finger, it could be done, I'm saying, then yeah, first thing I would work on is viable housing. Probably, not make the rent so sky high, as well as, beautify the city a little more, not just the downtown, but I'll be working on the inner city. I'm an inner city kid, so I can't turn my back on the inner city if I can have it my way. And I'm not saying that this administration, as far as mayor and city council, are not trying to do that. It's just they know more than what I know, as far as the ins and outs, the intricate, the things you got to bid on and all that. That stuff takes time. So, I know it can't just happen overnight, but I think if you got people with, sincere minds and sincere hearts and, want the best for Detroit, and I think that's what we got, I think, I could be wrong, I'm making an assumption, and I'm doing it from the distance, because I don't know any of them personally, I'm not walking, side by side with them to seeing what they're doing and looking over their shoulder. So I can't criticize or applaud. You understand what I'm saying? But overall, I do see some progression. I do see some progression. And I think slowly but surely is leaking out, spilling out into the neighborhoods, only because one, like I said, one of the biggest things I talked about first was them endorsing or creating an initiative in the coalition with the small businesses, empowering them, giving out, a lot of those are grants that they're giving them. You know what I mean? We know most businesses don't survive based off cash flow, so by them, generating cash flow, this is going to keep the business alive. This is jobs for usually people that work right in the inner city. Young kids go to high school or whatnot. So this is empowering the citizens as well as empowering the city. Most of these people are native Detroiters, and most of them don't have any plans to go anywhere besides maybe go off to college and then come right back here. But it's got to be something here for them to take that knowledge or that education that they just gained in 4 years or getting a master's degree to add on to. And I think that's what they're doing, I try not to be too much of a critic, but at the same time, I don't want to give people kudos and they don't really deserve it, so if you watch me I'm just being objective. I'm being objective, I'm a very optimistic person, so I have to keep a broad view of things. Like I say, I'm not a politician, I haven't ran a city, I'm not an elected official or a designated
But you're optimistic
office.
about the future of Detroit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that around the neighborhoods and people you talk to, they also seem optimistic about Detroit.
A lot of people do and a lot of people don't, Sometimes when you let people down over the years, some people lose faith and all that. But I think with what's been going on and some of that, I think more people are starting to, their eagerness and their vitality for Detroit and perseverance is starting to, kick back in more, have a reboot or whatnot. And a lot of that is with just the things that's been happening. Like I said, we got the NFL draft coming this year, so those things that's put the spotlight on Detroit for a minute, where the world sit back and see life from our eyes for a minute, and see, okay, this is not a bad place. It's a beautiful place.
Well, that was a good video. Hope you guys enjoyed that report from America. So we've been to every state now, and we know so many great places that most people don't know about. If you're trying to figure out where you should move, I can help. Email me, and I'll tell you about how I can find you the perfect place for you to move to. And if you need a realtor, I can help you with that as well. No one else knows America more than Nick and Kim and Mappy. This is my email. You can also find it in the description or on the channel. Okay, so a lot of people email me and they comment and they say, where should I move, Nick? Well, I do consulting for that, as you know, but a lot of people want to do their own research. So I have published an ebook. That's right. Email me and I'll send you my comprehensive and always updated guide on the best places to move in each state. We're always traveling, so we're always updating the book. Find the best places to live in America from the people who have seen more of America than anyone else. That's true. Google it. Well, hey, Nick Johnson fans. So YouTube's pushing this whole membership thing now, and I think it's great. So I set one up for this channel. If you want to be a member on this channel, you can only do it on your computer right now. They make it hard for some reason. So go and hit join right there, and you can support the channel and join various membership tiers. I'm excited about it because I'm going to post all sort of behind the scenes content, extra interviews, fun mappy stuff, bonus songs, and more. Just some extra stuff that doesn't make it onto the main channel. So think about becoming a member. Huh, everyone?
You should join. I did.
And if you want to buy some mappy gear, well, you can find that link in the description as well. You can get shirts, hats, mugs, stickers, hoodies, all kinds of great mappy merch. Click the link, get some mappy gear. I'm also on Cameo. If you want me to send you or somebody you know a personalized video message, go to Cameo and search Nick Johnson, or just click the link in the description. Thanks for watching.